And breathe out. Keep it going, keep it going. Your lung capacity is down again.
I'm using the inhaler.
Everyone is, and it's not having much effect. I want you to increase the dose to every 4 hours.
Every 4 hours?
Including at night.
And how am I supposed to sleep?
Try cutting back on the caffeine.
And if I do cut back, I can't stay awake.
If you want to keep breathing, you have to keep taking the inhaler. Arms up. How's the swelling today?
You're the MO, you tell me.
More or less the same. You can relax. Hold still. You can get dressed now, Commander.
Well?
Not really, but you're doing better than some.
Salazar, how is he?
Still unconscious.
I need him.
You can ignore my medical assessment if you like, but he's not going to be up and about anytime soon. We'll continue to ventilate him. He's unable to breathe by himself. If it wasn't for my life support...
He's deteriorated that much?
I have reported the decline in his condition.
I've been busy. You're no closer to finding a cause.
I can find no trace of any bacterial agent, virus or toxin in any of us.
So according to you, we are in good health?
On the contrary, the entire survey team is dying.
This is amazing. How come you never normally take me to tropical paradise planets?
This isn't a vacation. Distress call. Remember?
I didn't think you did distress calls.
Ordinarily I don't, but I've never been to this planet before. 2 birds, 1 stone.
Oh, I thought you'd been everywhere.
Possibly, but somehow I managed to miss Canary Minor.
And that's where we are, Canary Minor.
Do you do that deliberately?
Possibly. So, who sent the distress call?
It came from an Earth survey team. The TARDIS databanks indicate that the native inhabitants are steered towards a simple existence.
Right.
There'll be a biome somewhere. That way.
I suggest we adopt a full sterilization procedure between sections of the base, in addition to anyone returning from outside.
Anyone entering the habitation would be subject to usual protocols. But we don't have sufficient resources for anything more.
Well, maybe we should have thought about that before we started getting sick.
I'm not just talking about personnel, we're low on supplies.
Don't you think I don't know that? I've enough trioxanate for a fortnight. No more, but if we have to keep increasing the dose, it won't last that long.
We're using up our emergency food and water as well.
Can't you ask for another drop?
We may have to resort to the local vegetation.
This, whatever it is, has to be coming from out there.
But neither you nor Brinx can identify anything harmful.
Doesn't mean to say it's not there.
What about the locals?
What about them?
They appear human, or at least genetically similar to us, but are in perfect health.
What are you suggesting?
They must have immunity?
You think we should bring one of the primitives inside the habitation for testing?
Certainly not. But I am suggesting that you could venture out.
I'm not going outside!
That hasn't protected you, though, has it?
You have my medical readouts, along with those of the rest of the crew.
Keep on it. If you don't find a cause and cure it, they will abandon us. They won't risk taking an unknown illness back home. This planet may look like paradise, but I don't want to die here.
You think they will elect to sterilize the area?
That is a decision that would be taken back on Earth.
But they've mentioned it.
They'll probably just leave us to rot. Unless they think the locals will plunder the dome for technology. We're still out of range for another few hours, but at the earliest opportunity, I intend to find out their thoughts.
The Earth is overpopulated. There are already half a dozen worlds which form the Earth Empire, not to mention settlements on the Moon and Mars. Maybe they're looking to colonize.
Wow.
Quite an impressive achievement for mankind.
Oh, I was referring to the beach.
Oh, I see, the sea. But Earth's resources are running out.
Well, that sounds familiar.
Things have reached critical in this era. This isn't about fossil fuels anymore. There are rations on food, water, power. Most people live in poverty in tiny accommodation.
That doesn't sound good. Most people?
There's always a divide between rich and poor.
And does everyone get the opportunity to relocate here?
Within the boundaries of class and money, unfortunately.
Well, some things never change. I can see why they would want to come and live here, though it's stunning.
If you like palm trees and sand.
All this place needs is a beach bar selling Coco Locos and a bottle of Hawaiian Tropic.
You can forget topping up your suntan. Over there, around the bay.
It looks like a dome.
Let's go and introduce ourselves.
And that's the final survey marker deployed in Sector 5.
That was fast. Triss, what's your fuel status?
At 65%. I thought we weren't supposed to use first names on an open channel.
How are you feeling, Pilot Sommersby?
Same as really tired.
Are you still not sleeping?
Not really. Do I start heading back?
Get some rest. Unless you want to call in at Sector 3 and check the malfunction.
Sector 3 is a malfunction.
One of the sensors has gone offline. It could be atmospherics or a hardware failure.
Do I have to?
Look, let's check it out tomorrow. Head back to base.
Sounds good. Altering course. That's odd.
Problem?
Down below. Group of 25, maybe 30 natives. All adults.
You're right, that is odd. I thought they only associated in small family groups.
Perhaps there's some sort of ritual gathering. Want me to turn around to take another pass?
You wanted to head home just now. Cultural investigation is not on our agenda.
Okay. See you soon. The first round is on you.
Short day?
Oh, Commander, I didn't hear you come in.
That much is obvious.
Sector 5 is now ready for survey.
Good. I will authorise the scan to commence. There should be at least 2 hours of usable flight time left. He can make a start on the sensors in Sector 6.
Today?
Yes, today.
We are supposed to have 2 pilots.
I'm aware of that.
And with Salazar incapacitated, Triss is infected too.
I know the situation, thank you. Keep an eye on the numbers. Tell Triss to use the autopilot when he can.
Triss? Very friendly all of a sudden, aren't you?
That's none of your business.
How is Salazar?
No improvement. Go check for yourself. You are wanted in the infirmary.
But
I'll monitor the comms.
you're the boss.
There has to be a way in somewhere.
This thing is bigger than it looks. Must have taken months to build.
Well, yes, originally. It's prefabricated, dropped from the mothership in low orbit. And the crew come down in a shuttle and the mothership goes on to the next planet, and where it all happens again.
I guess that saves a lot of time playing Giant Meccano when you first arrive.
Aha!
What?
Just there. It's the door.
Triss?
Daley, is that you?
No, it's me, Commander Knight.
Okay.
Switch to secure channel.
I'm here.
I was wondering if you had considered my proposal.
I have.
And?
If I hadn't noticed, would you have actually told me?
I hadn't realised how sick Salazar was.
That's what worries me. Will I survive to reap the rewards?
Rewards?
Someone is going to make a lot of money from this.
Possibly. Well, have you deployed the sensors?
I have, that is requested.
Good.
But before I continue with this, I think we need to discuss the financials.
I would have expected no less.
I don't see anything.
I don't think you're supposed to. The join's almost unperceivable.
Well, very clever, but why hide the door?
Perhaps they fear an attack. An entrance would be a weak point in the structure.
So what now? Should we knock?
Of course not. We let ourselves in. I like to make an entrance.
Alert! Unauthorized opening of non-main entrance.
We'll have to finish this later.
What's going on?
What's all that noise?
According to this, the main airlock to the dome has been opened from the outside.
What do you think you were doing? I haven't finished your examination.
Can't you hear the alarm?
I'm more interested in the welfare of my crew.
The dome integrity and all the security has been compromised.
Go! Computer, activate contamination seal to med center. Full decontamination procedures.
Medical center isolated.
Hello,
Who the hell are you? How did you get in?
I'm the Doctor, and this is my assistant, Macy Ferguson.
I thought you weren't going to refer to me as assistant.
Needs must just play along, people pointing guns. You did send out a distress signal. We are here to help.
You're the rescue mission?
I wouldn't say that exactly, but we're here to determine the status of things, assist where possible. Do you really need to point guns at us?
Very well.
I assume you're in charge.
Commander Knight.
I see shaking hands is no longer in fashion.
How did you open the airlock?
A sonic key. We had no idea of the status of the crew.
You didn't think to radio ahead before you landed? And how come you didn't trip the perimeter alarm?
I'm sorry, I don't think we've been properly introduced.
I'm Daley Anderson, Comms and Security Officer.
Oh, we had problems with our communications. Sorry.
Couldn't you have just knocked?
I did suggest that.
And the guy in a state of undress is our microbiologist, Marek Brinx.
Hi. Sorry, I was on a designated rest period.
Is it just the three of you?
Pilot Sommersby is out on a survey mission. Professor Mitchell and Salazar are in the med centre.
Then I shall be interested to talk to them.
Salazar isn't big on conversation these days.
Thank you.
I was just explaining.
You are wanted in the infirmary.
What, all of us?
Well, she wasn't very nice, was she, boys and girls?
Sorry about that. She is somewhat...
Forthright?
Dedicated.
I did get the feeling that she's not a people person.
You'd be right there. Be with you in a minute.
No need to hurry on my account.
Saucy.
Follow me. The infirmary is this way. We all have regular medical screening ever since the disease manifested itself.
Switch to secure channel.
Channel secure. So are you going to tell me what's going on?
We have guests.
What?
We can talk about that when you've finished your shift and get back to base.
And my remuneration? When will we talk about that?
I will speak to them.
I'm taking a hell of a risk.
We both are. And we will be compensated.
This is worth a fortune to them.
Don't overstep yourself. You can't fight the Consortium. I've said you will be rewarded, and you will. How are you doing with the census in Sector 6?
I've another dozen in place, but I'm fast reaching my flight time limit to get back.
Keep going. You can use autopilot to return to base. I'll talk to you when I have their offer.
Count on it. It had better be worth my while.
Just don't get too greedy. Greedy people tend to have accidents. Secure channel cancelled. Activating satellite link-up transfer to my quarters.
It's locked.
Can't be. Professor Mitchell? It's no good. I'll have to go back to main control to override it.
Can I be of assistance?
Your sonic key?
Funny. He should have triggered an alarm.
Only when he wants to.
After you.
Professor!
What?
Why did you lock the door?
Do what? What was that alarm earlier?
You've got visitors.
What?
The help you requested?
Hello.
The commander wanted them brought straight to you.
So you didn't think to wear an atmosphere suit whilst on the planet's surface?
Well, my instruments didn't detect anything dangerous.
We didn't detect any pathogens earlier, but that hasn't exactly helped the crew, has it?
They have been through decontam. They checked out clean.
So you're the expert I asked for?
I'm the Doctor, and this is my assistant Macy. I didn't catch your name, or was it that you just didn't give it?
I'm Mitchell, Professor Mitchell. Couldn't Earth see fit to send someone better qualified? We potentially have a Class 1 infection here. And you? Are you better qualified than your doctor?
Oh, I'm just a humble assistant.
According to your computer, so far you've not identified or isolated any viral infection.
I'll thank you for not accessing data from my terminal. Risk of contamination and all that. Use that one.
Have you tried a polymerase chain reaction?
Tried every test in the book, and thought of a few new ones to boot.
But you're recording a histamine response and an increased T-cell count in all the crew members.
Not detecting a cause, though. So what's your specialisation?
Well, what would you like my specialisation to be?
I have 1 patient in a coma. 5 more could be going the same way. This is no time to be elusive.
Does anyone else feel surplus to this conversation?
It happens a lot.
Professor, sorry to interrupt, but can you complete my medical so I can return to my post?
You, assistant, take her blood pressure, and then she can go.
I don't know how to take blood pressure.
Here. Just point and press.
Could you roll up your sleeve, please?
That's the sonic key.
It's multifunctional. All done.
Thank you. You can go.
Okay, later, people.
Not you, I need you.
Me?
You're the microbiologist, aren't you?
Yes.
So, is there anything unusual about this planet that we should know about? The infection's got to be coming from somewhere.
Commander? So much for not leaving the command centre unmanned during a flight. Off-world communication? On a secured channel?
I realise I've overstepped my authority, but I had little choice.
My dear, you did what was necessary, though it shows a measure of distrust on his part.
He will be loyal.
And what makes you think that?
He wants money. He hasn't said how much.
Blackmail?
A cut. He thinks he knows what's going on.
How can he? After all, the Consortium haven't decided what the best option for the planet is, yet. What does he want?
He hasn't said.
Why did you not negotiate beforehand?
It all happened so quickly. He noticed the modifications when Salazar became incapacitated.
I see. That was unfortunate.
I'm sorry.
Don't disappoint me again. Deal with him.
I will. There are 2 new arrivals, a med team.
I wasn't aware. I will find out who sent them. Make sure their investigations are limited to the medical emergency.
Of course.
What progress has been made with the sensor network?
We've maintained program, despite difficulties. The sensor grid will be finalised today.
Within our transmission window?
I'm not sure.
You have already disappointed me once today.
I'm sorry. I miss you.
And I you. Unfortunately, I am needed. Maybe we shall speak again later. End transmission.
What the hell? End transmission.
You don't seem very worried.
Why would I be worried?
You are here to identify and find a cure for a mystery illness, yet you are wandering about without a protective suit.
I don't see you wearing one.
Too late for that. I already have the symptoms.
Look, it will be okay. The doctor will solve it.
You seem very sure.
He's the doctor.
Where did you land your ship?
Good question. The doctor is in charge of landing the TARDIS, or so he likes to think.
The TARDIS?
Our ship. Well, his ship. It's called the TARDIS.
We didn't detect your approach to the planet.
The TARDIS is very special.
And the Doctor, is he special?
Strange question. He's my friend.
Just a friend. Good.
We are supposed to be collecting samples. Let's get them and head back to the dome.
Take your pick. There is an abundance of flora and fauna to choose from.
He wanted water and soil samples too.
I don't see how that helps. We're not supposed to consume anything from the ecosystem.
Why? It is safe, isn't it?
All checks out fine to me. Not that medical pays any attention to my assessments. This way.
Illnesses and opinions aside, I can see why you chose this planet. It is a virtual paradise.
But for how much longer?
What do you mean?
If this planet is deemed suitable for colonisation, there'll be 1 million new inhabitants within a decade. Houses, sewers, farming, power stations, crime, factories.
Well, you don't paint a very positive picture.
But for now, it's all ours. Fancy a dip in the ocean?
Is that wise?
I could be dead tomorrow.
That isn't reassuring.
I spend more hours outside the dome than anyone, yet I'm not the worst affected. Come on, time for a swim.
I don't have my bathing suit with me.
It's okay, neither do I. And we do have to collect a seawater sample.
I don't believe you just did that.
Come on in, water's lovely.
Turn around.
What?
Turn around. It's so warm, it's like a bath. Oh, this is so nice.
Do you have everything you need?
I think so, for now. Your notes are very thorough. Your patient, through there in isolation.
Salazar.
Was he the first affected?
Hard to say. We all seem to start to develop symptoms more or less at the same time.
But with varying degrees of intensity.
Salazar is a pilot. He spends, or spent, a lot of time outside the dome.
True, but so does Mr. Brinx. And Salazar has the benefit of a nice, filtered, air-conditioned flight deck.
Puzzling, isn't it? I barely spent any time outside, but I'm also showing symptoms.
How long after you arrived did this all start?
Within a day of us landing. You'll find it all in my medical logs.
That was fast. Yet you've not identified a cause.
Have you medical supplies in your ship?
Some? Why?
You'll need to collect them. The base supplies are running low, and I will need to start both you and your assistant on trioxanate today.
I don't think so.
Are you questioning my medical skills?
Well, I'm allergic, and I'm sure Macy, she'll have her own opinions. What's that?
A reminder. It's my designated meal break. I'm going to the refectory. Can I bring you anything?
I wouldn't say no to a cup of tea.
Tea?
Yes, tea.
What's tea?
An infusion of dried leaves in boiling water, then you add a splash of milk or lemon, maybe sugar. Maybe not.
I'll bring you a standard ration pack and some water.
Thank you. What sort of civilized culture doesn't know what tea is?
Warning, you are about to enter a quarantine area. All decontamination processes will automatically engage and cannot be overridden.
Yes, get on with it.
So, Macy Ferguson, do you fancy settling on Quinn Minor?
Was that an invitation?
Maybe.
Rather getting ahead of yourself, aren't you?
Maybe we should get to know each other a little better first.
A lot better.
Was that an invitation?
No.
Can't you picture it? Living in a hut on the beach?
What about the 1 million neighbours?
Might spoil the view.
Exactly.
What would you say if I kissed you?
I wouldn't say anything. I'd probably slap you.
Don't you like me?
You're okay.
Okay. Okay?
I'm not the sort of girl who kisses the first hot scientist I go skinny dipping with.
So you think I'm hot?
Stop it.
Control to Sommersby. Are you receiving?
Yes, I'm receiving.
What the hell?
Can you hear me? Come in. Come in, can you hear me?
I'm here.
What just happened?
I don't know. Communications glitch. I'll run a system sweep. Report status.
I finished deploying sensors in Area 6. Heading for home.
That was quick.
I'll let the autopilot handle maneuvers. Boring as hell, but orders is orders. So tell me, who are the new arrivals?
They're medics.
Great. More test pills and potions.
Maybe they will find out the cause. So very friendly with our leader all of a sudden, aren't you?
Hang on a second.
What's that?
The autopilot just tripped out. Trying to reset.
Commander on the bridge.
Report?
What did Earth Central say?
About what?
You had a comms channel open. Or was it a private call?
I will remind you that command information is restricted. Report.
Sommersby has finished in Sector 6, but is experiencing problems with his autopilot.
Really?
It was working fine, but now it's not resetting. I'm engaged in full manual flight mode. I'm going to exceed the flight time.
Look, over there, on the edge of the jungle. Who are they?
It's just a bunch of digis.
Digis?
Indigenous life forms. Don't worry, they are harmless.
That's great to know, but my clothes are on the beach.
Shy all of a sudden?
I suddenly feel very vulnerable.
I'll protect you.
Oh, my hero. This planet is already inhabited.
That doesn't stop Earth government. They've identified an opportunity here.
If you say so. What are they carrying?
Some sort of stretcher.
I think there's a body on it.
Come on, let's find out. We'll follow them.
Total life support system. Respiration, heartbeat, food, waste. Oh, poor chap. You're in a bad way. Still no sign of a cause. No virus, no bacteria, no toxins. Interesting.
What is this place?
We think it's some kind of shrine. There are dozens of them around. Some of these are graves, others are, for the want of a better word, altars.
They have a religion.
Some sort of belief at any rate.
Are we talking sacrificial altars?
The only offerings they leave are flowers and fruit. A primitive society they may be, but they're not savages.
They have intelligence?
To a degree. They have a very simple language, but it is signed with gestures rather than spoken. At least from what we can tell.
You've talked to them?
Initial survey team made contact. Had to establish any threat that they would pose for when the dome arrived.
So you lot are not the first people to come to this planet?
No, but that was 5 years ago.
And the original survey team weren't affected by this disease?
No, but things change.
They're moving away.
Give them a minute or two to get clear.
Hard at it, I see.
Only way to make progress.
And have you?
Have I what?
Made progress?
Possibly.
And was it necessary to open every cabinet?
Not every cabinet. I didn't touch the ones marked personal.
What gives you the right to search my infirmary?
I was investigating.
And you found?
Something very serious. Would you care to know what?
This is highly irregular.
You're quite right when you say that. Ah, lunch.
I must protest. You do not seem to be taking the matter seriously.
On the contrary, I'm taking this matter very seriously. Now that is very interesting. Tell me, Professor, what's the one thing you didn't check for as part of your tests?
Well...
Poison.
What?
Controls are sluggish.
Can you try a system reboot?
The Navicom has gone haywire, not responding. I'm losing power and propulsion.
Can you put down somewhere?
Trying to find a clearing. There has to be something. I'm losing altitude fast. I can't!
Are you sure they don't have weapons? They are not going to be pleased if they find us snooping around their shrine.
They are completely placid, vegetarian, and as far as we can tell, there are no predatory animals on this planet. At least none that would be hostile to the Digis.
Apart from you lot.
Sorry?
Well, you don't seem that bothered about moving in to colonise their planet.
It's not my decision.
Well, that's what they all say.
Earth is overcrowded, and this world, at least on screen, is perfect.
And what about the indigenous life forms?
There are only a few thousand of them across the entire continent. They live in small nomadic groups, no more than a few dozen in each. A place will be found for them.
Where? On reservations?
What?
I know my history. It's what settlers did to the Native Americans, to the Aboriginal tribes in Australia.
That was centuries ago. They will be looked after, allowed to integrate, given the benefits of technology.
But what if they don't want to integrate? Perhaps they prefer the simple life.
I'm on their side. Unless you haven't noticed, I'm not exactly standard Caucasian. Colonisation is the lesser of the two evils.
What does that mean?
Hey, look.
That's not a body. I should be pleased it's not a body. What is that?
It looks like one of our survey sensors.
Why would they want it? What's that noise?
It sounds like the flyer. Over there.
Is it supposed to be doing that?
It's in trouble.
Are you being serious?
Never more so. You see, I scanned your patient in there.
Salazar.
As your test revealed previously, no virus, bacteria or toxin, but his symptoms are consistent with an attack on his immune system. So I broadened my search. Have you ever heard of tetradrysine?
Not as I recall.
Suppose you might not have. It's hardly what you'd call cutting edge.
Are you saying he's been poisoned?
I would suggest that you've all been poisoned. Tetradrysine is a drug that was used to treat certain nervous disorders over a century ago, blocking their efficacy and slowing neurological response. With small occasional doses, the drug works well, but the body can't easily break it down and remove it. So with regular use, it builds up, suppressing autonomic functions, affecting the breathing, heart rate, lymphatic systems.
And how exactly is this antiquated drug being administered?
I found a high concentration in Mr. Salazar, and when I checked the IV, I discovered that there were minute quantities of tetradrysine in the fluids being administered. And then I checked your medical supplies.
And you found?
That there are minute quantities in all your medical supplies. And then you brought me my lunch, and in the water and the food pack, tetradrysine.
I don't like what you appear to be implying. What was that?
Sounded like an explosion. Somewhere outside.
Sommersby? Triss? Can you hear me? No response. No signal being returned.
Life signs?
Nothing, Commander.
We heard an explosion. What's going on?
Sommersby's crashed his flyer. He's dead.
What? Are you sure?
His biomonitor is functioning. It shows that there are no life signs.
Don't you think someone should actually go and check? Technology can fail.
I'm not going outside.
I cannot risk the health of my crew out there.
And what about Macy and Mr. Brinx? They're already outside.
Very well. Tell them to take a look. But safety to be maintained. Daley, I want a complete download of all data pertaining to Sommersby's flight today.
Where are you going?
I will be in my quarters. I have a report to write. Send the information through to my terminal.
Commander?
What is it, Doctor?
I've made some progress with your mysterious illness. It's far from conclusive at present.
Then don't waste my time. I've just lost a crew member. I want facts.
And you could lose a few more crew members if you don't get to the bottom of this. Facts are what I'm looking for.
What do you want from me?
I'd like to take a look at where you keep your supplies.
Is this necessary?
If it wasn't, I wouldn't ask.
Very well.
Stores?
I will be in the infirmary. Patients to monitor.
Well, it looks like I'm nominated to show you the way. Give me a while. I need to speak to Brinx and sort data for the Commander.
Take all the time you need. Could I take a look at the flight details?
Why would you want to do that?
Fresh pair of eyes?
I thought you medical...
Amongst other things. Please.
On the terminal beside you.
Thank you.
Brinx, come in. This is Command Centre.
Is this wise, I ask myself? Are you sure this is safe?
Down there.
It's very steep. Don't you think you should get a rope?
I'll follow the gully down to the wreckage. Here, take the sensor.
Why is this important?
We need to replace it for the sensor grid to function, and we don't have a limitless supply of these things. Come in, Command Centre. We have reached the crash site.
This is Night. Daley has patched comms through to my quarters while she deals with the doctor. How is it?
Debris seems to be spread over quite an area. There are a few small isolated fires. Most have already burned themselves out. The vegetation here is pretty verdant, so I doubt there is any risk that the forest will catch alight.
Don't take any chances. Any sign of Sommersby?
I think I can see the cockpit down the slope a little way. It looks pretty burnt out.
Understood, but you need to check.
Understood, I'm on it. You know what the likelihood is.
Yes, I do. Call back when you have confirmation of status. Night out.
Come on, this way.
I'm sorry about your friend.
Terrible as it sounds, Sommersby wasn't.
Wasn't what?
My friend. We were a crew put together by circumstance. They didn't psych-evaluate us for compatibility. That's why I spend so much time out here, outside the dome.
But your colleague has just been killed.
I know. I should feel something for him, but I'm afraid that... Look, that doesn't make me a bad person. A man has just died in tragic circumstances. But I'm more concerned for what this means for the planet.
And what does it mean for the planet?
Wait here. This isn't going to be pleasant.
Be careful.
Penny for them?
Sorry, what?
Penny for your thoughts.
What are you talking about?
You seem preoccupied. I was wondering what's on your mind.
My colleague, most likely, has just crashed and been killed.
I'm sorry. So, was it pilot error, technical fault, outside influence?
That is what the Commander will decide once she has reviewed the data.
And do you have an opinion?
You've reviewed the data.
I have, but as indicated, I wanted your opinion, as his colleague. Maybe his friend.
He was my friend. Probably we were the only two on this mission to form a bond. Nothing inappropriate, but...
There's nothing wrong with friendship. You are, after all, a long way from home. Was it just an accident?
What are you suggesting?
I'm curious. Tell me your thoughts.
Is this an official investigation?
Just between the two of us. Honest Indian.
Sommersby, Triss, has exceeded his flight time by 20 minutes. That will be listed as contributing to the cause of the crash. Pilot error. He was tired. Whatever this disease is, it makes you tired. But the Commander kept pushing, getting the sensor network finished.
What are the sensors for? Why are they so important?
Did they not brief you? Mineral survey. This planet is tagged for either full-scale colonisation or intensive mining.
I see.
Sommersby was a good pilot.
And? I sense you're about to say something else.
Sommersby reported a problem with the autopilot, and then the controls went haywire.
A fault?
It's possible, but as he saw, no errors were picked up in the logs. But he's been distracted the last few days, probably as he's had to do more flying with Salazar out of action. But he's been, I don't know, like he's had something on his mind. This is it.
Let me give you a hand.
It's okay. I can manage.
How was...
He's dead. Cockpit was burnt out. Let's hope the impact.
I'm sorry. Brinx, look.
Digis coming up the slope. So many of them.
They are non-hostile, right?
Yes, don't sweat it. I wonder what they want.
They're heading towards the wreckage.
Wonder why.
Could they be after the technology?
It's unlikely. They're a simple society. There is very little of use left inside the wreckage.
Maybe they think it's some form of deity who fell from the sky.
I suppose so.
Talking of the sky, is it my imagination or is it getting darker?
The sun is going down. We've probably got about 90 minutes till full night.
Should we be heading back to the dome?
We've plenty of time. I want to see what the Digis are up to.
Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
What are you doing now?
That one. Random selection. Let's open the container.
Why?
Because I want to find out what's inside.
According to the labelling, protein pack number 7, 500 litres of water, an inflatable dinghy and 6 replacement lighting cells.
Seems rather random.
Supplies are spread across various containers just in case.
In case of what?
Contamination or damage during transport.
Interesting. Another one. You choose, but it needs to contain food or water or medical supplies.
This one has 500 litres of water, fruit concentrate, and 3 environment suits, size 6.
It's here too.
What is?
Something that shouldn't be.
Come in. Ah, Professor.
You sent for me?
Come in, close the door, take a seat. The loss of a crew member is the worst thing for a mission commander. I have the responsibility of providing a report, and all factors must be taken into account.
And naturally you require my medical opinion.
Your recent assessments will be included in my report, but I wanted to ask if there was anything else that I should take into account.
Such as?
This unknown ailment is affecting all of us, and is likely to be a contributory factor. Was Sommersby's condition any worse than the rest of us?
He certainly was not the worst affected. You need only to look at Salazar. I can, however, confirm that Sommersby has increased levels of adrenaline, cortisol, and norepinephrine, possibly due to stress.
I see. And are you aware of any potential source of additional stress to Mr. Sommersby?
Not that he divulged. He could have been worried about Salazar, or his increased piloting responsibilities. There is this theory of the doctor's.
What theory?
He says we are being poisoned.
Poisoned? Can you believe him?
I've done my own tests, he's right.
You think Sommersby is responsible?
I don't know what to think, but Sommersby was worried about something.
It's hardly a conclusive evidence, but thank you.
I've never seen so many Digis in one place before.
Why are they covering the wreckage with leaves and branches?
Possibly some sort of burial.
And the fruit and vegetables, are they some sort of offering?
Anything is possible. Believe it or not, a cultural assessment of the indigenous species was not a requirement. They were assessed for hostility rating, and that was it.
Well, I hope that part of the survey was right. They're starting to head this way.
Let's go.
It's here too. 5 out of 5.
What are you looking for?
The cause of your ailments.
And you found it?
I believe so. Give me a hand down, will you? Where did all this stuff come from?
We brought it with us.
That part is obvious, but you're missing the point of the question. Who supplied it?
It's standard mission supplies.
And who provides that?
Better let the commander know about the digis heading this way, and the sensor that they've removed.
Hang on, it's in the sample bag.
What are you going to do?
I best get these samples to the doctor, wherever he is.
The doctor is right behind you. You're wet.
What?
Your hair.
Oh, yes, when we were collecting samples.
Ah, excellent. Hold them up.
Which one?
All of them. Saves time. As suspected, the samples are all clear.
What do you mean, all clear?
Right, now this is important. Neither of you are to consume any food, fluid or medication from the mission stores. Have you got that?
Why?
Have I made myself clear?
Yes.
Doctor, why?
I shall explain. Can we assemble everyone in the command centre? Now? Oh, and I'll take a look at that sensor if you don't mind.
Have you got them?
Yes, but it's not just one crowd. There are 3 distinct groups. One to the north, coming through the forest, and 2 other groups moving along the shoreline from opposite directions.
I am not used to being summoned to my own command centre, Doctor. I trust there is a good reason.
Well, you have 1 crewman dead, another in a coma, 4 more suffering from a mysterious ailment, and the indigenous population of the planet appear to be converging on this dome. How many more reasons do you need?
You appear to have our attention, Doctor. Daley, keep an eye on the digis.
I'm on it.
Have they weapons?
Not that I can tell.
Now, you mentioned to Professor Mitchell that you believe we are all being poisoned.
I don't believe, I know. You are being poisoned. It's an undisputable fact.
Doctor?
Your water, food and medical supplies are contaminated.
With what?
A chemical compound that inhibits the nervous system's functionality.
Some sort of leak. Has a container been damaged in transit?
The contamination is not specific to any one container. All consumables are affected. However, the equipment packed alongside doesn't show any trace.
Are you saying this chemical has been deliberately introduced?
Who would do such a thing?
Are you accusing one of us?
Not entirely.
Doctor, this is no time for riddles.
Unfortunately, it is. You brought the contaminated supplies with you, so it would appear that someone back on Earth wants this mission to fail.
That's ridiculous.
Maybe, but then there's the sensor that Mr. Brinx and Macy found.
Where did you find that?
A group of digis had it.
It's from Sector 3. That's why the network is not working correctly.
I shall return it to the store. It will be repositioned as soon as possible.
One moment. The sensor being removed or discovered is not the important fact here.
Then what is?
This sensor has been modified prior to installation. There's a second processor inside which is distorting the readings.
What for?
You're scanning the planet to ascertain the levels of mineral wealth, but the data you're collecting is completely inaccurate. There are significantly greater natural resources than your sensors are recording and reporting.
But what would that achieve?
The Earth is overpopulated, and so... Macy?
This planet is earmarked for colonisation.
Quite right.
It still doesn't make sense. What has the poison got to do with the sensors?
The survey team dies of a mysterious illness, so the planet is declared not suitable for habitation. The sensors show it's not worth mining, and so Quinari Minor is forgotten about. For a couple of years. Then, once the dust has settled, someone moves in and strip mines the planet to the bones, without a load of colonists to object.
That's terrible.
You have proof?
What more evidence do you need?
What about Triss?
His health has been affected. Therefore, it must be pilot error.
I'm not sure. I was talking to him just before. He said the flyer's auto systems failed.
That has been noted in my report. It doesn't mean...
But
Go on.
there was also an unauthorised data transmission from the dome to the flyer.
What?
I noticed it when I was checking the logs.
What sort of data?
Hang on. That sounds like computer coding to me.
That's definitely a software patch.
That patch would have been delivered to the flyer's onboard computer.
You think someone deliberately instructed the flyer to crash?
Are you suggesting Sommersby was murdered?
It does seem likely.
Even if one of us knew how to reprogram the flyer, we don't have the command code override.
Someone does.
Who?
Your central control, maybe? Someone back on Earth, who also provided your food and water supplies. Now, I suspect someone in this room knows far more than they're saying. No one? Well, it's time to play the waiting game. After all, you're the ones who've been poisoned. You're all going to die. Unless I tell you how to counteract the drug.
There's a cure.
Of course. Macy and I are not affected, so we have all the time in the world. Unfortunately, the same cannot be said for the crew. We have all the time in the world.
Please don't sing.
I might know something.
My dearest Sooleen, how pleasant to hear from you again so soon. You have good news, I trust? The sensor network is complete?
No. There has been a minor setback.
I see. I am not pleased with this.
However, progress has been made in relation to the team's health issues.
Really?
The doctor has identified the cause.
I see. And the cure?
That will become evident soon.
That will be a relief for the crew.
Only
Yes.
it appears that there is no disease. We have been deliberately poisoned, and that the contaminated supplies were brought with us from Earth.
I am shocked to hear this.
We have also discovered that the flyer was sabotaged. Sommersby was murdered.
Poisoning, sabotage and murder, these are very serious accusations.
So are conspiracy, embezzlement, and fraud.
What are you saying?
The corruption to the flyer's computer was sent from you at the end of our last transmission. I was so blinded by you.
You're clearly not thinking straight, my dear. You have the audacity to accuse me?
You asked me to install the adapted sensors, and then you tried to poison me and my crew. Central government have been informed. I doubt even you can avoid a full investigation.
What?
End transmission.
You did the right thing.
I didn't know. Falsifying the survey is one thing. That's money and power, but murder.
You were just out to save your own skin.
My career is over. At least we will all get to live. Now, Doctor, you said there was a cure.
Warning. Proximity alarm. Unauthorized movement within zone.
Perimeter monitors have tripped. Switching to visual.
The digis.
How many are there?
150, maybe more.
What do they want?
Would you like to go out and ask them?
What's that they're carrying?
How very interesting.
Sorry, what is?
I think it's time we went out and introduced ourselves to the locals.
Don't be an idiot!
I expressly forbid it.
Aren't you forgetting something? You are no longer in charge.
You want the job?
No. But while Salazar is incapacitated, the chain of command passes to Brinx.
Me?
I'm going anyway. The rest of you, well, it's your choice. Come on, Macy.
Are you sure it's safe?
You don't trust me?
Doctor, you never said.
Never said what?
The cure.
The problem is inside the dome. The solution is out here.
In the forest?
Outside.
Your supplies are poisoned. You have an abundance of fresh water and food out here.
The answer's that simple?
The drug should pass through you naturally over time. Even Salazar should make a full recovery.
Stay back.
It's safe. You can put the gun away. It won't hurt you.
How can you be so sure?
Initial surveys show non-hostile.
And I guarantee they have no aggressive intent.
What's that he's holding?
It's called a bat harut. Tastes like peaches.
But how? He's still...
Don't tell me. TARDIS telepathic circuits?
Quite right. The indigenous population call themselves the El Richt.
Is this for real?
They have read your minds and are aware that you have been poisoned, and they wish to help you recover. Isn't that splendid? People being nice to each other. Humans could learn a lot.
From these savages?
Well, they could save your lives, if you're worth saving. I sometimes wonder why I like humanity so much. Time to go, Macy.
Just like that? You're leaving?
I've had enough of human greed and corruption.
Macy.
Oh, you're not going swimming again, are you?
Doctor?
I'll wait over here.
Must you go?
Looks like it.
Without saying goodbye?
Goodbye.
Will I see you again?
When you get back to Earth, look me up.
I'm not going back. I'm staying here. Irrespective of what the investigation concludes or what the decision for the planet is. You could stay with me.
Maybe I'll call. Come back for a visit.
I'd like that.
I'd better go. The doctor's already headed off. I'll never find the TARDIS without him. Hate to be left behind.
I wish he would leave you behind. I'm offering you paradise.
I know. Goodbye.
So now what do we do, Commander? That's you, by the way.
I guess we learn to communicate with the Elric. I think we need their help.
Doctor Who, The Taint of Paradise, with Steve Green as the Doctor, Jemma Nicholls as Macy, Marion MacBeth as Sooleen, Ryan John as Marek Brinx, Kurt Burgeron as Triss Sommersby, Lizzi von Fugeman as Daley Anderson, John Dredge as Professor Mitchell, and Graeme Nott as Consortium. The Taint of Paradise was written by Steve Green. Plymouth Who Productions will return in our next audio adventure, Deep Quiet Blue God.